Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, the first book in the Six of Crows duology. It's about this group of 6 like criminals of some sort, and they go on a heist. And I think this copy of Six of Crows is just cursed, and so I'm just gonna like read someone else's because sis ain't gonna buy another copy, but sis will read a different copy. Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo has been hyped to the nines, and everybody says it is like this work of art that if you haven't read it yet, you're gonna be a changed person once you read it. I actually got a paperback version recently so that I can read that one because I swear this copy is cursed. I can't read it. It just stops me from reading it every time I read the first chapter. Take that how you will. I believe it. So we have a paperback and we're gonna try. Six of Crows. I've been trying to read this book for so long. People have told me I'm definitely gonna love Kaz, I'm definitely gonna love Kanej, and I just like, it hurts me that I can't read this dumb book. And that's Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I think I bought this the year after this book came out, and I have not read it. So, I have read the first chapter though. Juiced had 2 problems, the moon and his mustache. I've read it too many times. I can recite the first line. No, you shouldn't be able to do that on a book that you haven't even finished. This month is the month. Maybe. It's ridiculous at this point how long I've had this and have not read it. I finally read Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. As you've seen in the intro, I've talked about reading this book many a times, and obviously I did not do it because now it's February 2021 and I finally put this on my Goodreads red shelf. My name is Bailey and this vlog is of me reading this book. Finally. I have tried to read this, I think about 7 times. I mentioned that before. This is the 8th time trying, and the 8th time was successful. I've just never really been able to get through this. I have a hardcover copy, and I thought it was cursed, so I bought a paperback copy, and I still couldn't get through it. I would get stuck on the first chapter about Juiced, and then I kind of developed this mental block where I just couldn't get through this book because of how many times I've tried. But my friend Ava offered to annotate this book and like reread it and annotate it, and so I gave it to her, and she annotated it, and I finally got through it with the motivation of her little annotations and drawings all throughout the book. And I do give her a lot of credit in me finally finishing this book because those little annotations were a lot of motivation for me. So thank you so much, Ava, for finally getting me to read this book. This is a spoiler vlog. I talk about random details and big events in this book during this vlog. So if you haven't read it or you care about spoilers, be warned. I will give you a synopsis of this book before you go if you're leaving. I'm just gonna scrap the whole synopsis I tried to give of this book and tell you that it follows 6 people, most of which are criminals, who pull off this seemingly impossible heist for a very big reward. I don't think you should go in knowing anything else if possible because the amount of reveals that you could possibly appreciate if you know nothing is ample. So that's the best synopsis you're gonna get from me because I think you should read it knowing next to nothing. But I think it's very much worth the read. Not to spoil my thoughts too much, but I love this book, as with a lot of people. So if my opinion isn't valid enough for you, just turn to anybody on BookTube and you're gonna probably get a similar viewpoint on this book. But yeah, it was great. Without further ado, here's my reading vlog for Six of Crows. I have filmed too many clips today, but I'm just gonna tell you that I'm starting Six of Crows tonight. I hope to read this in like chunks because it's already broken into like 6 pieces. So I feel like I can read this in about a week if I just read like about a chunk a day. So that's the big plan here. I'm about to go probably take a bath and start reading this. I just like can't talk too in depth about this right now because I am just really burnt out from filming. But yeah, this is like take like 7 or 8 of me trying to read this book. So hopefully this time I'm successful. But this time I am aided with Ava's annotations in here, which I'm super excited about. I've already peeked at a few of them while like kind of just flipping through the book and they look fun. I'm hyped about it. I'm starting this today. Let's do this. So I started this book and I didn't quite make it through the first like section, and the section I'm talking about are the sections of the book. I think you can see the lines that are parting it. I want to do a section a day, but the first one is 100 pages and I ended up getting through it, but I did end up getting 59 pages in, which is not that bad to be honest, so I'm actually kind of proud of that. I don't know, if you've been on my channel for a little bit, you've probably heard me talk about this at least once before, and how I struggle to read it. I've tried to read it, I think 7 times. This is like the 8th, approximately. I've always read like the first chapter, which is about Juiced. Juiced had 2 problems, the moon and his mustache. I recite it as a prayer nowadays, because I just remember that line. but I'd get to that chapter and I'd finish that chapter, and then we move on to the chapter right after it, which is about Kanej, or from Kanej's perspective. And I don't dislike it, it just like, I would just give up. I think the farthest I've ever gotten was probably about 40 pages. So I finally, I think, gotten farther than my past self has ever gotten. But I don't know, since that would happen so often, like I wouldn't get any farther than I would before, it kind of built it up in my mind, so every time I tried again, like I just couldn't get past the mental block in my mind when it came to this book. So when I started reading this time, I had the same problem. I was reading it so slow and it was so painful to read. But now it's actually speeding up for me to read. Like, it's not taking me so long to read all the pages now, and my pace has picked up, so I'm anticipating it being easier for me to read the rest of the book now, more smoother sailings, so to speak, because we was struggling through the first like 30 pages. I was like dying on the inside. I was so intimidated because like I am so intimidated by this book, not because of the length. I've read things this long, and not really because of the content, just because I built it up in my mind. I have such high expectations, and also like I've tried to read this book so many times and failed so many times that's like, it's intimidating, you know? But I'm loving it so far. Kaz is literally crazy, and you know, I like him, I think, but I'm also like, I would never want to interact with somebody like him in my life. But also, like, I don't know if he's actively aware he has a crush on Kanej, but like, he is not subtle at all. Like, he's like, people compare her to a cat, but I think that cats would watch her and wish they were as good as her. Like, not subtle in his compliments and stuff, and it's cute to watch, but also I know that there's not really much payoff in this relationship due to their shared traumas. So I don't hate that. It's just like, I'm liking the setup, but I know there's not gonna be much payoff in this relationship. But you know what? I'm down to feel pain, so I'm excited for that. And Nej's my favorite already. She's like the mom of the group. She has the most rational thought already. Like 59 pages in, I can tell that she's gonna remain my favorite character probably. She just is iconic. She's just trying to keep people alive, and they're just doing their best to not stay alive. And I like that she always wants answers from Kaz, and Kaz is just like, you know, you'll figure it out. You always do. Like, he's confident in her, but like won't give her the best chance at success. And I don't know. I'm enjoying the relationships and like the dynamics. The banter. Oh my gosh, the banter is so amazing. Like, already I love it a lot. I thought this was gonna be super dark and like, you know, stoic, which it is in some points, but like this banter between all the characters, and Jesper right now is the funniest character. He's always cracking jokes in every moment. But even like Kaz on his own, he's cracking jokes. The banter is so top tier in this book already. Like, I know it's basic to be like, I like this book. Like, everybody likes this book. I'm sorry, like, it's not a new take, but it's good. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm not special, oh no. But yeah, I think we actually do have a hope of finishing this book this time around, so yes. Ideally, I would read the rest of this section of the book and the next one tomorrow, but I don't know if that's realistic. So I hope I just at least finish this section and get, you know, part way, hopefully like maybe halfway or majority way through the next one tomorrow. But I suppose we'll have to wait and see what happens, but I have hope for myself. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier in this vlog, but my friend Ava actually annotated this copy of the book for me, and I've been liking seeing her little annotations in it. It's definitely been, you know, fun to see what little comments she had to make during her reading of the book, or her reread of the book. That's called friendship, folks. Find yourself a reader friend. It's a fun time. But yeah, I'm actually really happy with my progress today, and I'm really excited to continue reading this because I'm actually kind of really into it, so yeah. I thought I'd just mention this now before I go to bed, but I have not read the synopsis for this. That being said, I do know spoilers. I don't know the full plot of these books. I do know there's a heist that has something to do with the ice court. I know that now in depth, but I knew before that there was like the ice court and everything like that. I know a specific spoiler from the next book. I'm not going to spoil it for you because this is a spoiler vlog for Six of Crows, but I will not be spoiling Crooked Kingdom in this vlog. But yes, I do know random little spoilers about this book and the next book. I know like random scenes, but I don't know the general plot or like the nitty-gritty of the plot, and I don't really want to read the synopsis because synopses just like usually spoil too much for me. Like, I usually like just kind of going in blind. I've also already read Shadow and Bone, not the whole Grisha trilogy, so don't spoil the Grisha trilogy, please. Because that's something that keeps happening to me. But I have read Shadow and Bone, so I do know the Grisha stuff, and I've noticed that the writing of the Grisha trilogy, or specifically Shadow and Bone, is very different than the Six of Crows. Like, yes, Six of Crows still has the banter and stuff, but it's definitely written in a very different tone than the Grisha trilogy. I haven't read Shadow and Bone in, like, a while, mind you, but I just do remember it being a lot more digestible. Not saying that Six of Crows isn't, but I would say that it's a lot easier to read, quote-unquote, than this book. Also, I think it's nice going into this book having the foundation of just at least Shadow and Bone, just because, like, more digestible writing style, learning the world, you know what I mean? I feel like it would be beneficial to read at least Shadow and Bone before this one. But that's my opinion after, like, 59 pages of this one, so it might be worth nothing, but I thought I'd add that little tidbit in. Let's talk about this book. So, I'm finally officially done the first part of this book, which is more than I could ever say in the past, so we're on track to actually finishing this book for once. I'm starting to love it, I'm being honest. Like, obviously that's not a hot take. Weebin knew that's why it's so hyped, is that people love it. But the banter's still top tier, and the new characters we've been introduced to, like, finally we've been introduced to Nina and Matthias, and they're interesting. I really like Nina. She's very funny. Kanej is still my top bitch. Then Kaz still, and then probably Nina. Jesper's super funny though. Jesper's up there. All the characters have been introduced that, like, we follow, except for Wylan. Like, his name has been introduced, but he's done nothing. But we're gathering the crew. I'm excited. Things are happening. Action is starting to start up, like little bits of action, which I'm enjoying because it was a little bit slow in the beginning, just because we were putting the foundation of, like, the heist and the reasoning and, like, the characters. We're still doing that, but there is a little bit more action now, and I am very much enjoying that. But my biggest question is, does Kaz know he's flirting with Kanej? Because I choose to believe he is, even if it's accidentally. Like, he's talking about how he loves to tease her. He's just like, I don't know why, but I just love teasing her. I'm like, okay. And then, like, he's talking to her, and he'd be, like, kind of flirting with her, like, teasingly, like, flirtatious in a way, and then he'll just, like, insult her religion, and then he's just like, I wonder if she hates me. I'm like, I mean, she doesn't, but if she did, there's good reason to. I don't know, but, like, I'm already invested in a romance that I know doesn't have, like, the most payoff. Like, I know there is payoff, but it's not, like, the most, I'm pretty sure. But I'm invested. I like the world, too. Like, I really did like the world in Shadow and Bone. There's things I don't like about that book, specifically the characters, specifically Mal and Alina, but I really do like the world, and I've been touching my head too much in this clip, but I really do like the world, and, like, seeing it again, pretty cool, but I'm really excited. I just want to keep reading it right now, but I do have homework to do, so that's sad for me, but we're on chapter 7, and it's a Matthias perspective, and we're done the first part, so go me. This is so fucking weird, but I'm currently in the bath, so, like, look at my roof instead. But I'm on page 152. And Kanej just got stabbed. And Kaz is, like, picked her up. Like, he climbed these crates where she was, you know, chilling out dying. And he climbed these crates and he's running with her to the boat. My heart is weak, dude. I'm too weak. I love them so much. I'm already a Kanej stan. There's no stopping that. I love them too fucking much. Is it cute? No, it's heart-wrenching. I'm weak. Like, the way he acts toward Kanej gets my heart going, okay? Ugh. I'm on page 213 of Six of Crows. I love it still. Are we surprised? No. We've had all 6 crows for a hot second now, and I love seeing the interactions between all the characters. Let me give you my ranking of the characters so far. Kanej, my favorite still. Kaz, everybody else, Matthias. Matthias, I don't hate him, okay? But I do not like him, because he makes it so impossible to like him. Like, I need him to drop the prejudice sooner rather than later, because it's really hard for me to read his perspective. Because, like, either he's going on one page about how pretty and smart Nina is, and then the next page being like, she needs to die. Or he's telling me about how Frigirda hates people. Like, at first I just thought Frigirda hated Grisha, but then I found out they also hate women. And it just gives me, like, extreme religious vibes, which I think it kind of is. And I hate that in reality, so reading it in fantasy, it just hurts my mind. Like, I want to like Matthias. I know he's going to develop. I just need him to do it quicker because it's just a lot for me. A lot to read. Kanej. Let's talk about Kanej because it's my favorite thing ever. Everybody except for Kaz and Inej can tell that Kaz has like some sort of feelings toward Inej and Inej has some sort of feelings toward Kaz. But Kaz and Inej, like, themselves can't figure it out. Like, their biggest problem here is communication, like, full stop. Like, in their own perspectives, they're like, I just want the other one to appreciate me and voice their appreciation. But then neither of them do it, so the other one, in response, doesn't voice their appreciation of the other one either, and we're just stuck in this loop of hiding our feelings and repressing our feelings, where if we just had, like, an open conversation, things would be moving a lot smoother and we'd have a little less internal conflict. Like, I love a good slow burn. I love the internal, like, tension and struggle between, like, I shouldn't have these feelings. I don't want to like her. It's never gonna work out. And, like, the fact that the other person also feels the same thing, like, I like it. It's a simmering romance. But it's also high-key frustrating when you're flipping, like, from perspective to perspective where, like, one person's like, I really like them, I really want to scooch closer to them, and the other person's like, I really want them to scooch closer to me, but neither of them will make the move because they're both so in their minds about it. It's frustrating, but in the most, like, satisfying way. I'm a Kanej stan. Did I mention that? Because I am. Inej is my top bitch. I love her so much. Anybody who says any Inej slander or disrespects Inej at all is on my hit list. Like, she is, in my opinion, the most valuable person on the team, the most skilled, just the best. I love her so much. Like, I love Kaz too, but anytime he disrespects her or underappreciates her, I'm just like, dude, strike one, strike two, stop it. Like, he's not immune to my hatred of those who slander my girl. Like, I get viscerally angry when it happens. I was reading this book at Ava's house the other day, and I was, like, getting viscerally angry because Kaz was like, I don't need you, like, I just need your skills. And I was viscerally mad because I'm like, dude, no. One, you don't believe that. Two, lies. Okay, legitimately, Kaz, like, there was a scene where they're on the boat, and Kaz goes and, like, sits next to Inej after she's, like, kind of recovering from the stab wound, and he sits next to her, and he's, like, asking her these questions, and she's like, why are you asking me that? Like, you know I'm gonna say yes. And he's, like, in his mind, he's like, because I want an excuse to talk to you. And I'm like, bitch, the romance is so adorable. It's so adorable. Like, it's just so good. I'm sorry, like, when people hype this up, it was for good reason. It's excellent. I have like 30 pages to read before I'm halfway. I don't know. I need to make some progress in this because I've been making very slow progress. Because I'm like really loving it, but I also can't read a lot of it at a time because it just exhausts me. The writing isn't even dense or anything. It's just one of those books that I'm reading slower, which I'm not mad about. It's just like, it's taking a while, so we'll see how this goes. I want to finish this by the end of the week, which should be doable. I also have a 5-day weekend this weekend, so if I can't finish it within that, I mean, it wasn't meant to be. Side note, one last thing I saw in my notes over here. Matthias is all peeved because, like, Nina got him arrested as a slaver, right? And, like, okay, he's not a slaver, I'll give him that, but is he much better? Because he was on a boat full of captured Grisha taking them to go die. So, like, yes, you're not a slaver, but are you any better? Where is this moral high ground coming from? I guess from his fucked up views, but at the same time, come on. Some self-awareness would be appreciated. I just had to bring this up because, like, every time we're in his perspective and, like, he's talking about this, like, the cognitive dissonance he's got going on really grinds the gears of my mind. I'm like, dude, you're not a slaver, but you're not better than them. Like, where's the awareness? It's not there. That's the answer. I hate this. I keep forgetting things that I want to say and then having to add it in later. I want to make 2 more comments about some characters. First off, Wylan. He hasn't really done much yet, and I don't dislike him by any means, but I guess this is kind of a note on Wylan and all the other characters, but none of them act their age. Most of them don't act their age in the sense that they act a lot older than they are. Like, you cannot convince me that Matthias is not a 90-year-old man and Cass isn't at least 30. You know what I mean? The only one I think acts kind of their age is Inej. Like, I don't see her acting that much older than she is, other than the fact that she's been made to, like, mature and shit a lot earlier, but, like, she still, to me, kind of strikes me as a 16 to 18-year-old. Nina as well sometimes, but like Kaz and Matthias do not. Jesper strikes me like he's like 22, honestly, but they're all like 18 to 16, which is so weird to me. We're just gonna let it slide. But Wylan, he is the opposite for me. I feel like he's 10 years old. In this first scene, he's literally introduced as doodling and chewing on his thumb, and since then, he's been treated like a toddler in my mind. Like, every time he's in a scene, I imagine him as, like, a child, which is super weird. It's like, I can't stop my mind from thinking it. So I'm just giving that knowledge to you, that, like, I think Wylan is a child, while everyone else is, like, well into their adulthood, but still a teenager. It's weird, like, he's the same age as Kanej, yet he does not strike me anywhere near the same age as Kanej. It's weird to me. So that's the first note. Second note, Kaz said some shit. I had mentioned earlier that he, like, said some shit about not needing Kanej, just needing her skills, and Kanej was like, fuck you, in her mind. She never said that to him, because she wouldn't. But she did, like, kind of tell him off in a way. But she was like, I need an apology from him before I can, like, you know, move on from it. But she didn't get that apology. She did ask for that apology before she, like, passed out from, you know, bleeding out. And Kaz is aware that she, like, wants an apology. He doesn't really know what for, because he's like, there's so many things she could want an apology for. I suck. And I'm like, I agree, you do some shitty things. You probably owe her, like, 30 apologies. But there's one specific apology that I want, and if there is no apology in this book or the next book, I'm gonna be so upset. Like, I feel like either they're gonna just forget about this apology that should be happening, or it's gonna come back in, like, an emotional scene later on and destroy me internally. But I want to get this, like, on record, because if that apology comes back, I will be destroyed by it, so yeah. Now I think all my thoughts are out there. If not, I'll just record another clip and add it in after this, but I think that's all I had to say. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! This book! Oh my gosh. So, I'm on part 4, and I just read, so like the part 3, which was called Heartsick, like that whole segment of the book was really just focused on Matthias and Nina. Obviously the other characters were there doing things, but like heavy focus on Matthias and Nina. I'm into it. This whole, like, Romeo and Juliet, but not, like, romantic. Well, it's romantic, but, like, Romeo and Juliet, that kind of dynamic. It's two people who can't be together, but, like, they want to be together, right? Or, like, they feel positively toward each other. Nina and Matthias are like Romeo and Juliet because they come from two sides of the aisle that can't be together, you know? The Fjerdans, the Ravkins / Annie Grisha, you know what I mean? They don't work. But then, they also want to be together, like subconsciously, they want to be together. But their own personal biases, and the fact that they're on these two different sides of an issue, it's keeping them apart, but they want to be together. So it gives me Romeo and Juliet vibes, plus like enemies to lovers vibes. It's just so good. I love them a lot, but I also hate Matthias. Like, I like Matthias, but I hate him. Like, he's finally being kind of like taken out of his prejudices, but not fully yet. Because we're in Fjorda already. I didn't know we'd be like in Fjorda this early on. I guess we're like over halfway now, but like it seems kind of early to be in Fjorda, but I guess the journey's kind of long. But we came across these pyres with like burnt to a crisp Grisha in them, or on them, and Nina and him had like this fight, which was charged with tension, and it was wonderful. But Matthias said this shit, and like his internal like thoughts, he was like, I feel a little bit of shame, but I have to say it. Maybe you shouldn't exist, Nina. And like, yes, I hate his words, weren't necessary, but the key point is that he felt a little bit of shame, which means we're training him out of his prejudiced views, and that is all I've been asking for this whole time. I can tell their romance is gonna be just beautiful. I love a good enemies to lovers, and I like that they're like both on these two sides, but they're coming together like they came together before after the shipwreck. It's just beautiful. I like their dynamic a lot. I love the enemies to lovers stuff. But also, let me talk about this for a second. Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. I haven't read this, but I read the first 50 pages, and I DNF'd it for the time being. But like, literally, is this not just Matthias and Nina fanfiction? Like, I've only read 50 pages and I can already tell you that. This like witch and witch hunter sort of fantasy kind of a thing. I feel like it's kind of pulling from Matthias and Nina. I mean, I prefer the original from the 50 pages I've read of this and the 200 I've read of this, but like, just some food for thought based on somebody who hasn't read this book. I want to read it soon though, just because I'm really curious now to see if it has any other similarities to Matthias and Nina, or I'm just reaching, but I don't know. But I'm loving this so much. Also, a really random side note, Kaz and Kanej did this little move when they were being attacked by these people, where, like, Kaz leaned up against this rock wall sort of thing, and Kanej ran up and, like, he boosted her with his hands. Very random scene, but, like, also strangely really attractive. That's the kind of shit that I find attractive in general, and also, like, this book and this couple specifically. Like, that unspoken connection where they, like, know what the other one is trying to communicate. Obviously they have signals that are premeditated, but like they're just on the same wavelength, bro. And it was attractive to me. Really random, like, 2-line thing that I was like, that's flirtatious. I'm also officially over halfway, like I mentioned before. Just over halfway, but like semantics. And I'm so happy to be reading this book. It's just excellent. But I have to do calculus, so I can't read anymore tonight. But this is good shit. As with me, I always have something extra to say after I turn off the camera. But Matthias and Nina had their whole, like, blow-up fight at each other, and now they're kind of, like, going back to mellow. But now, there's a scheme within the scheme. There's schemeception, people. We have the original, like, heist scheme, right? But Matthias and Nina have teamed up together because they don't want byeeeeeee, the scientist guy, to make it out of the Ice Corp because he's got dangerous information. Matthias thinks that if Jurda Parem, you know, gets out into the world, Grisha will be overpowered, and Nina thinks they're going to be slaves. Even though they disagree on that, they agree on the common ground that this man needs to die. And as much as I don't agree that maybe he doesn't have to die, but at the same time, like, sure, I don't think the Merchant Council has pure intentions. Like, the Merchant Council told Kaz that they wanted to get this guy to secure the information so it couldn't get out. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure it was Van Eck who, like, kidnapped Kaz at the beginning to tell him about the heist. He used Grisha on Jurda Parem to get Kaz, which implies to me that on some level he supports Jurda Parem. So I don't think the Merchant Council wants to get this guy back to, you know, lock away the information. I think they really want to secure that information for themselves, to produce Jurda Parem, to use themselves and or sell. I think I've cracked it. Either that or I'm reaching. But, like, it seems logical, so I'm putting it into words so that if I'm correct later, I can feel smart. But yeah. You'll be fine, Ava. You'll be fine. Oh, I'll lean it more that way so it's not just you.
Yeah, thanks.
What page are you on?
Page 2.
Oh, perfect. If you finish that book before I finish this one, I'll be insulted.
Nice.
Like, if I haven't marked this as read on Goodreads, just leave the last page. Because that's not okay for me. I know I'm slow, but you can't prove it to me like that.
Heading into the Ice Corps.
We're in. I'm stressed about it. I love the distinction he makes. He brought these people here. He brought Kanej here. The distinction between the crew and then Kanej is a separate thought.
Yeah.
It's called Kanej, baby. It's called Kanej. Dude, I told you these fucking lockpicks were the dumbest plan in my existence. I told you this was dumb. This whole time you were like, Bailey, just wait. Like, it's not dumb that he's trying to sneak lockpicks into the highest security prison in the world. And now he just got exposed. Because I was right. Because it's the dumbest plan ever known to man.
Just wait. There's more.
I'm sorry.
It's all part of the plan.
I told you so.
Nuh-uh.
You can't
You better
sneak
hold that,
lockpicks
told
into
you.
prison.
You better hold that. Hold yourself.
No.
No.
But the lockpicks. Did he know they were gonna be stolen?
Yeah, let them think they've got you and they won't look as hard.
I don't want a Jesper chapter. I want a Kanej chapter because nobody cares, Jesper. Oh no. Jasper's just a sad boy with a crush, and I don't like it. Can you just get with Wylan and stop pining over Kaz quickly? Because it makes me sad.
Kaz adds to his body count.
Again? What type of body count? There's only one. We know that Kaz is traumatized. It's definitely not that one. I love these people, but I feel so bad for them. Wait, what the fuck? He's not a Grisha. What's he doing? Jesper's not a Grisha. Is he a Grisha? Is Jesper a Grisha and I didn't know? I finally proved something I didn't know a spoiler for! He's a Grisha? The
You learn
I need to
new
go
things
to
every
the glossary because I can't remember what all they're called. But like, he's a Grisha, and I didn't know that. Wait a second.
I'm so thrilled.
Because he has to be one of these people, right?
Yep, I don't know
What the
to do.
fuck? He's a Grisha? He's been a Grisha this whole time, and nobody told me? I love that. Jasper's a Grisha? I like that. I like
It
that.
was a good moment. I was very shocked the first
I'm
time.
so shocked. I had no idea this was a thing. Yay!
It's a
I
good
had no idea. Yay! Oh
Having
my
a good time
gosh,
now?
I'm happy.
Your mood just went up like 300%.
He's a Grisha. That's cool. That's
That's a good
cool. Wow. Well, because I'm like, he's doing this like locating the purest particles. I'm like, wait a second. Wait a second. That does not sound natural to me. That sounds
You're
like some
perturbed
magic.
now?
I'm perturbed now.
That does not sound natural.
Imagine Matthias is just like, oh, I only accepted Nina the Grisha. I didn't accept Jesper the Grisha. He just rats him out. Oh my fucking god. He made lockpicks. I hate this book.
Those lockpicks through the pain of your existence.
Oh my gosh. That's so good though. Oh my gosh, that's so good.
Yeah, but
That's so
let them
good.
think they got it with the lockpicks and then just create a new pair.
Matthias said grimly, you're a fabricator. Oh my gosh, I'm still reeling. This is amazing. This is the best thing this book could have revealed. That's so
It's a
good.
good time.
I hate these lockpicks, but smart. Wow.
Yeah, so you're going on and on about these fucking lockpicks, so I'm just
And
sitting
you're just
here
like, it's not the original lockpicks. Oh my gosh!
Hearing you rant about how these lockpicks and getting them in for like ever, I was like,
But I
why?
was correct that it's illogical. They could never get them in. So I'm happy
Yeah,
about
they
that.
are.
How could I have guessed this? Imagine if I just been like, but what if Jesper's a Grisha just out of nowhere? That would have been talent.
Imagine if I got too fed up and told you.
I would have killed myself.
Kanej is the so done with your shit mom of the group. One is the awkward, concerned out of his depth father. Matthias is fun in this book because he's a lot less prejudiced and he's just bitter.
I hate when they say words but then don't define them. What does that mean? What was he asking? I'll never know. Fuck! No!
What?
Alarms! No! No!
It's going well!
This
What
is
do you
so
mean?
not good! No! Nina, no! No, 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 no! No! This is so
I
bad!
know.
The cat is missing, but he's probably downstairs. Ah! Ah!
As you can see, everything's fine. Be afraid of the end of this book.
I am scared.
Fear it. There's two things to fear in the end.
What? What does that mean?
One is clearly an ish.
Yes,
You know,
we know
the
that.
other one, no, not that. We don't like that.
That's not good. You way to stress a bitch out.
You're welcome.
We are in the final stretch, folks. I'm about 52 or 53 pages from the end. I'm scared. I'm so scared to finish this book because, like, we had a plan and it completely crashed and burned. And ironically, it was because of Kaz. You would think any of the other 5 would be fucking out the plan, but it was Kaz's fault because he's just so hell-bent on revenge it clouded his judgment. So our first plan that was all about, like, stealth went to shit. So now we're in, like, plan B. That's basically just, like, try and not die. That's basically the plan. And we're barely scraping through. But there was a scene, oh my gosh. Okay, so Jarl Brum is alive. We thought he was dead, he's alive. Also, the Frajurdans are 100% like Republicans and extreme evangelicals, which are mostly Republicans, let's be honest. And you cannot convince me otherwise. Like, yes, they're obviously extremely religious, but like, they're Republicans. The pro-gun lions have just, like, got me riled. Like, there was a line that Brum said, he was literally like, guns don't kill people, and I'm like, oh, he's a Republican! Anyway, he's alive. And, like, Nina was going off with him, she was trying to, like, get information from him, but he knew the whole time that it was Nina! And that was stressful for me, because then Matthias showed up, and I couldn't tell for a second whether or not he had actually betrayed us, or he was pretending, because he was, like, kind of in his mind, debating his viewpoints on Nina, and I was kind of like, wait a second, is he pretending or not? I think he was fully pretending. We've gotten past that scene. Matthias and Nina are basically a couple. They haven't kissed yet, but we know they're gonna get together. It's fine. Kaz has had all these monologues in his head about how much he loves Kanej, or likes Kanej, and I can't wait for them to meet up again because Kanej is in a tight spot. And yes, I do know that Kanej gets kidnapped at the end of this book. I think by Pekka Rollins, but I can't be sure on that. I know she gets kidnapped, but I'm super scared to see the scene. Like, I don't know. I've read it before, like, I think a year or two ago, because I just wanted to feel emo about a book I hadn't even read. But I'm so scared to read the scene, like, in context. I don't know. But the end is scaring me! Like, everything's going wrong, and I don't know. Ava told me there was 2 things to be afraid of, one of which being, and I just flipped you off, one of which being Kanej being kidnapped, and then something else. I don't know what the other thing is. And I'm so scared to find out, but I'm so excited. I don't know. I'm gonna finish it. I'm stalling. I'm very much stalling. But I'm excited. I'm nerve-sighted to see what happens. So, I'll catch you once I finish it. On this day, February 12, 2021, I, Bailey, last name redacted, have finished 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. It was so worth it. It was so worth it. This book is excellent, as so many people have said before me, and so many people will say after me. I'm giving this 5 stars. I love it a lot. I'm gonna go put on makeup so I can film the intro and the outro to this vlog, but I've officially conquered 6 of Crows. Yay. What more is there really to say about a book that is so hyped and so well loved by this community? I assume not much. There's not much I'm going to say right now that you probably haven't heard or you probably don't think yourself. So I'm just going to talk briefly about my feelings about this book. Like I mentioned before, I gave it 5 stars. I think it is absolutely excellent. In regards to like the last few reveals and stuff in the book, wow, okay. So I was sort of correct that Kirch didn't want to eradicate or like hide Jurda Parem, right? I was kind of right, because I didn't know that Van Eck was working alone without the Merchant Council, but I did guess that there was bad intentions when it came to Parem. He wants it for himself. So I'm gonna give myself points there. Did I realize that Van Eck is the one that kidnapped Kanej? No. The fact that they team up with Pekka Rollins to some extent at the end, did not see that coming. Did not at all. I'm super excited for Crooked Kingdom because I want to see where this goes. This book does not focus a lot on the romances between any of the characters, but there's still romantic moments, but there's no like kissing. There's no official get together of any of the pairings. There's just like the romantic tension going through it, and I was not at all upset by that throughout reading this, which is weird because I hate slow burns generally. Like, I like a slow burn once I've gotten the payoff, but while I'm reading it, I'm in pain. But throughout this book, not having that much romantic payoff didn't bother me, and I think it's because I appreciated all the relationships, friendships or otherwise, between the characters so much, and their dynamics and the action so much that, like, not having a lot of romance didn't matter to me. This book holds up even though it doesn't have, like, that big a focus on romance. But when you do have those Kanej moments, for example, the tension is so high because of the slow burn aspect. I just find the way that their traumas come into play with their relationships now really realistic, and I think that Leigh Bardugo did a really good job making their backstories, you know, remain within them instead of like shucking off their trauma when it's convenient. I find that a lot of books give people like tragic backstories and then like nothing really comes of it, but like Kaz's trauma stays strong, and him and Kanej are not confirmed together in this book because he can't, you know, overcome it to any extent really in this book to be with Kanej. I think that kind of stuff really shows that the characters have strong backstories and personalities, and they're not like bending randomly just for plot reasons all the time. Like, they're very solid. The characterizations are super, super unique to each character, and they never really wobble. Like, everything the characters do is in character. Even Matthias, who has the most character development throughout this book, obviously, he kind of has to go from being super prejudiced to being not liberal, but like more liberal, you know what I mean? Even then, his character development is natural and makes sense, and it's not like a 180 shift halfway through the book, and I really like that. The characters, like, there's 6 main characters, and they all are super unique, their voices are all different, and I think that was just so well done. This book is so well written. The tone being dark, but also having a lot of comedy and, like, good banter running through it was just so much fun to read. I love the cunning of the characters and, like, the plots they're stringing together. It's super cool. One thing I'm really upset about, though, Brum should have died. I get why Nina didn't kill the Druskel, and I agree to some extent with what Matthias is saying, like, let them live in shame. Fine. they shouldn't have died. Brum should have though. It's pissing me off that he's still alive. I hope he dies later on in Crooked Kingdom or like in the Grishaverse at some point, because Brum gets pleasure out of torturing and murdering these Grisha, so he should have gone. There was so much death in this book, yet he didn't die, and that made me so upset. I can't get over the ships. I think that the subtle building of the relationships and like the romantic feelings toward the characters was so good, and like I keep bouncing around, but the fact that none of the couples got together insists to me that all the development we did in this book is just gonna pay off so much in Crooked Kingdom. I know that Kaz and Nej, their relationship will never be like the most physical, but I assume any payoff we get in Crooked Kingdom is going to be so delectable and powerful just because of the amount of build-up we do in this book. And like Jesper and Wylan, they don't have the biggest role in this book, well they do, but like they aren't focused on the most, but you can see the beginnings of the relationship that they're gonna have. I feel so bad for Wylan, by the way. He doesn't have a perspective, but like his backstory isn't the worst. Obviously we have a lot worse, but his backstory makes me really sad. Like, he was mistreated, dude. The fact that the letters were so condescending from his dad, like he couldn't even fucking read them, and that was the point. His dad was trying to fucking insult him with the letters. It made me very sad. And Jesper, like, being super pissed on behalf of Wylan at the end made me very happy. That is something I find really adorable, is when people are angry on behalf of their romantic partner or, like, a close friend. Like, that's sweet to me. I love the characters. I love the crew aspect. Oh my gosh, Matthias has been accepted into the crew. It's so amazing. I am so excited to read Crooked Kingdom. I can't read it this month though because of A Court of Silver Flames, because I just can't not read that book as soon as it comes out on Tuesday. But I do intend to read Crooked Kingdom next month just because like I need to read what happens next. I do know one big spoiler. I'm not gonna say it here because this is only a 6 of Crows spoiler vlog, but I do know one big spoiler about a character, and I'm really sad and scared about that because I don't want to read that. But I want to figure out how everything comes together. Like, I knew a few big things and few big reveals about this book, but for example, I didn't know that Jesper was a fabricator. I didn't know that Kanej got captured by Van Eck. I'm super excited to see what little things and what little reveals I don't know about in Crooked Kingdom. It's gonna be so good. I plan to vlog my reading of Crooked Kingdom, but I also plan to vlog myself reading the whole Grishaverse. My next read and the next vlog you should be seeing of the Grishaverse should be Shadow and Bone, because I'm planning to reread it starting maybe today or tomorrow, because I do want to catch up on the Grishaverse, maybe not for the release of whatever the second King of Scars book is called. I think it's got wolves in the title. But I do want to be close to caught up on the Grishaverse by the time that book comes out. Like, if I'm on King of Scars by the time that book comes out, I'll be pretty satisfied. Currently, I have to read Crooked Kingdom and then reread this book and read the Grisha trilogy. So that's 4 books plus King of Scars, so 5 books I need to read to be caught up, which is not going to happen for sure, but I want to try my hardest to get relatively caught up by then. So look out for me reading this, hopefully this month. Back to 6 of Crows for a second to wrap this up. Even though my journey with this book was strenuous, spanning years, I think it is excellent. I think it's hyped up for good reason, and it was very much worth the read. All the people on BookTube and in my real life who have recommended this to me were right. I loved it. I don't know how I'm going to move on from this book. I'm still kind of reeling from the end of this, and seeing all the characters, you know, their connections built throughout this book and how ready they are to take on Van Eck to get Kanej back at the end. I really like how you see how they've built up this friendship and bond with each other, that they're like, yes, it's not even a question of whether or not we're going to go get her. We are. And it's so cool. I can't wait to read Crooked Kingdom, and this book was amazing. So yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna read this now because this book is definitely nowhere near as good as this, but I have missed the Darkling, so can't wait for that. Anyways, thank you for watching me read this book finally after many tries and many years. Like I've said many times, it was worth the read. You should read it if you haven't read it, even though you've just heard a bunch of spoilers. You should still read it. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I've been Bailey. Have a good day.